right, thank you all for coming today. My name is Morgan Dill, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to plan a girls' conference. There are a couple questions to consider before you start. You need to think about why you're planning a girls' conference. Is it because you've had it laid on your heart by God that you need to do something for the girls in your youth group? Is it because you've seen other churches do it and you think it's an awesome idea? Just think about why you want to do it. And you need to think about where the conference will be held. If you're going to have it at your church, or if you're going to have it at a bigger banquet place, think about that. Think about how large you want it to be. If you want it to be smaller with just a couple of churches, or if you want it big to fill up a stadium, you need to think about those things. You need to think about how much it will cost, and that will depend on how big you want it to be. If it's a smaller event, it won't cost as much. You need to think about the age range. If you want just middle school, just high school, or if you want middle school to high school, you need to think about where the youth will stay. If they're going to stay in cabins or in host homes from members of your church. The first step is to pray. You need to pray that God will give you guidance on your decisions and that He'll just point you in the direction you need to go. You need to think about or pray about a community of helpers. It's hard to do this alone, so you need help with members of your church. And you need to pray for support from your communities and from your churches. Step 2, pick a date, pick a location, and invite churches. You need to check with other churches and make sure they don't have any events going on because you want as many people to come as possible. You need to check the school dates to see if they have any activities, games, dances. You need to make sure that nothing else will interfere with allowing the youth to attend. Once you pick a date, you need to stick with it because if you keep changing it, it could interfere with other churches and just cause some problems. So pick a date and stick with it. And then invite local churches to bring their youth girls once you've set a date. Step 3 is pick a theme, and then you delegate your plans that you have. You need to pray and see what God may lay on your heart for the girls to hear that weekend. You need to pray that it's something relevant to what the girls are doing and just relevant to that age. You need to think about a theme that's fun and engaging. Make sure it's age appropriate, and then pick a theme. Picking a theme verse will help. If you pick a verse that you want to talk about, it may help you pick a theme for the whole weekend. And then after that, you can start delegating responsibilities to your committee or to your team that's agreed to work with you. This girls' conference cannot be accomplished alone. It's very hard to get everything done. Step 4, find a speaker. You need to check a speaker ahead of time. Make sure they're available. Make sure that they fit your beliefs and what your church beliefs matches their doctrine. You need to inform them of the theme and the verse for the weekend. Give them the information on how long the weekend's going to be, how many messages they're going to need to give. And then you need to try and find one who can relate to the audience, just one who gets along with that age group and then with girls. Step 5 is find worship leaders. You need to decide on all female or if you want a mixed worship group. Usually if you have a girls' conference or a women's conference, you usually pick an all-girls worship team just because the whole weekend is about girls. You need to check your local churches for worship teams if you don't have one yourself. And then you can check their song list, give suggestions. Giving them the theme for the weekend and the verse can help them pick their song list as well so it all relates together. Step 6 is planning the meals and host homes. If it's going to be a 2-night thing or all weekend thing, you need to make sure that they have food. So you can check with local restaurants who may donate or give special deals. You need to have a food crew to help serve and buy food. That takes care of all that so you don't have to worry about it. And then ask for volunteers to host home or find lodging for the girls if you need to. It's nice to have host homes that can do it because they can provide snacks and foods for the girls and then they have somewhere to go and it won't cost as much money. Step 7 is plan activities. This is the fun part of it. You get to plan fun and engaging activities. If you need to rent big bouncy houses or things like that are fun. If you want, you can do local missions and outreach projects. One year we did, the girls wrote letters that went to women's shelters, and so we sent those to them, and that was encouraging for them just to get an encouraging note from someone they didn't know. We did a man panel as well, and that's where we had 5 guys from different age groups, and the girls submitted questions, and they asked the guys those questions. They were screened, of course, the questions beforehand. You need to check and make sure that activities, or see if they could help the community. If you wanted to collect food, canned foods to donate, that would be great. And then find activities that help connect the girls to each other, because they're going to be with each other the whole weekend, so they need to find that connection within each other. Step 8 is putting it all together. Once you have all your information planned, the date, the locations, the speaker, the worship, you can put it all together in a packet, and that's an easy way to send all the information to churches, to their leaders, to the parents of the youth that are coming. That'll give all the details and itinerary for the weekend, give it step by step. You can design shirts if you would like. That will bring the weekend together, and the girls can wear those shirts after. And then you can make a potential workbook for the weekend. If you know what the speaker is going to speak about, you can kind of lay out an outline for them to take notes on and follow along in the messages. And then advertising is important at the end, because to get the word out, if you want to open it to the community, you can, or if you just want to keep it within the churches, that you can make flyers, you can make Facebook events, event pages on other things. And so those are just things to put it all together and bring it together towards the end. And then things to remember. You need to make sure that everyone who attends has a medical waiver, especially if they don't attend your church. That helps with emergencies. If something happens, you'll have their numbers and insurance, so you can contact parents. Have a registration plan for when the girls arrive to the conference. Make sure that they're signed up, that they're there, so then you have a head count as well, so you don't lose anyone, and you know how many you have. And then always remember why you're planning the girls' conference to begin with. You need to remind yourself that you're not doing this for yourself. You're doing this because you feel like God has called you to host this event. You're doing it for the girls, so that they can grow closer to each other and closer to God throughout the weekend. So I hope you learned a couple tips about planning a girls' conference. These can be applied to guys' conferences or women's conferences or Disciple Nows, all those different things. So hope you got a little something. Thank you.